What's up, everybody? Demon back, and welcome to my Walking Dead Heart Still Beating breakdown. This was an amazing mid-season finale. I really love this episode, and I can't wait to break it down and talk about some theories that I have about it. Now, this episode draws a lot of inspiration from issue 111 of the Walking Dead comic, as well as further issues down the line. The episode starts off with Maggie sitting at the hilltop, staring at Glenn's grave. Gregory walks up and says, "Nice what you did with Sasha, saving everything. Don't let it go to your head." Maggie says, "Don't let it bother you." Now, Maggie forces Gregory to give up his apple, with Eduardo backing Maggie up, proving that Maggie has a stronger influence on the hilltop than Gregory thought. We get this cool moment where Negan is shaving in front of Carl and Judith to become more like his comic version of himself. Now, Olivia and Tara have a conversation. Olivia says, "I told Rick I would watch Judith. I'm gonna do that." This is her death sentence right here, but at least she is committed. At least she is a good person. Now we see this cool shot of Negan sitting at the table with Carl, Olivia, and Judith, and they are eating food. This is pretty cool because it just shows Negan settling down in Alexandria, really liking the place. Now we get this chick come up and flirting with Spencer. She has some weird dialogue. "Maybe I'll show you where we live, buy you a sandwich." Don't quite know what the tattoo on her neck is. I can't make that out. If you guys know what that is, please comment below and let me know. If you don't remember who this chick is, she is a savior we saw in a previous episode. She is this girl right here from episode 3, The Cell. Meanwhile, at Carol's place, Morgan drops off a fruit basket. Carol says she doesn't want it. Morgan asks Carol why she called him over, and she just says, "How are you?" He says, "Good." And then she says, "Now you can go." Pretty much showing that, yeah, she wants to be left alone. Sure, it's nice to see Morgan. They're friends now, but at the same time, she just wants to be left alone, live alone, die alone. Rick and Aaron are gathering supplies for Negan when Aaron falls overboard off the boat that they used to try and get out to that stockpile in the water that man had from last episode. Aaron actually survives the little encounter. He gets surrounded by walkers, swims underneath the water, and then comes back up in time to get back on the boat where Rick is. Daryl uses this opportunity to escape. He gets out of his cell, runs around, goes into a room that is revealed to be Dwight's bedroom after we see some carvings that Dwight did from earlier episodes. Rick and Aaron search the boat. They find lots of guns, lots of materials. Aaron finds a little "congratulations for winning, but you still lose" note, which is a perfect metaphor for the episode. Rick wins this episode. He accomplishes his mission. He gets Negan supplies, but he still loses, as we'll talk about here later. Rick and Aaron load up the supplies into the truck. Then Aaron says, "I saw what happened on the road. We're doing this to keep people alive. Either way, our heart's still beating. Our loved one's heart's still beating." This is awesome because it shows that, yeah, although Rick thought that the Alexandrians were going to be against him for this whole Negan situation, there are still people who have his back. This is a whole setup throughout the episode, giving Rick his mojo back, getting Rick back in action. Now we see some mysterious boots here at the bottom. You guys can see lots of theories have been thrown around about whose boots these are. A lot of people have been saying, hey, they could be Dwight's boots. I'm going to give a little bit of small spoiler for the show. I'm not going to go into any detail about it, just going to say that really fast, so spoiler warning actually. No, these are not Dwight's boots. They're actually a new community's leader's boots. We have not seen them in the Walking Dead show nor comic yet, and that's all I'm going to say. Now Michonne tells the redhead chick, "I'm not going to kill Negan. I'll find a way to win." This is very reminiscent of the line, "Not today, not tomorrow, but I will kill you." Enid makes the interesting comment, "Maggie for president," when talking about, this whole situation developing at Hilltop with Maggie kind of taking in charge. Enid finds Sasha in a lie when Sasha tells Maggie that Jesus left in the morning. Enid finds out Jesus left back the night before. This interesting line, "Maggie for president," is set up for Maggie's story arc in the Walking Dead comics. Richard shows up at Carol and Morgan's place, or Carol's place where Morgan is. They have a little conversation. Basically, Richard saying the saviors, they are bad people. They're going to go back on their peace deal with Ezekiel. People are going to die. He continues this, saying, "We need to attack first. Carol, I imagine you're not part of a violence and fighting." She says, "You're wrong." He says, "Then it's time to fight." This is really cool because it shows us multiple things. Number one, it shows us Richard is ready to attack, which is awesome because that is a perfect parallel to Rick's situation last season, ready to attack, going for Negan first, taking them out before they saw what coming. It didn't work for Rick, and it won't work for the Kingdom unless Rick and the Kingdom unite. So this is also cool because we get this little setup here for a great story arc in the Walking Dead comics, March to War. Richard goes into this little camper back here. This is where he lives, presumably. I don't know what the deal with these empty milk bottles is, but he has lots of them through his house. He actually throws one on the ground. Well, it's not necessarily a house, it's a camper, but he throws one of them on the ground, and then he kind of just throws a fit, pretty much. He's broken. It really shows how much getting Carol and Morgan's support for the war meant to him, and they turned him down hard, which just shows he has lost everything at this moment, but luckily Rick is on the way. Rosita gives a little bit of background to Gabriel about why she's going to use her bullet to kill Negan right here. She says, if Abraham was alive, we could fight. If Glenn was, Maggie's kid would have a father. And then Gabriel tells her, I agree, we need to wait for the right moment. For now, that actually convinces Rosita not to attack Negan, but as we see later, she goes back on that. Spencer comes into his house, sees it all disaster because when Rick and everyone raided the place trying to find all those supplies, those guns that he had hid, and then he puts it back together before putting on a nice shirt, cleaning up, and practicing his hello to Negan, so that's pretty funny. Then he gets stopped in the middle of the road by Rosita. Then he says, we'll work together with Negan for now, but maybe in a couple years we'll try something. Then he asks her on a date pretty much, and she says yes. We get this cool scene with Daryl escaping the sanctuary, and he runs out of a building looking a lot like Season 1 Glenn. I like that reference right there. Although Daryl's pants are more black, whereas Glenn's shirt was black, Daryl's shirt is gray, whereas Glenn's pants were gray, so it's kind of cool there. I like that reference a lot. It's also cool to note that Daryl is now wearing Dwight's clothes the same way Dwight is always wearing Daryl's clothes. Now, Fat Joseph catches Daryl in the act of escaping, but he definitely does not want to fight. He lays down arms by dropping his sandwich. Not gonna fight, just get out of here pretty much is what he tells him. But no, Daryl couldn't take that. He decides to kill Fat Joseph, beats his head in with the pipe, Lucille's him essentially. Jesus walks out and all amazed. This is a cool reference because now Daryl has also been responsible for Glenn's death, and now he has physically done the act of killing someone the same way Negan did when he killed Glenn. Daryl takes Rick's gun and says it ain't just about getting by here, it's about getting it all. Now Michonne and this redhead chick make it to one of Negan's compound. It'll be explored later in the season, I'm sure, but basically this girl tells Michonne, kill me please, burn the car, you get away. That's how it's gonna go. And Michonne takes the deal. She kills the girl. We hear a silenced muzzle flash, and then she rolls the car out. So Michonne killed this girl as a mercy killing, but at the same time out of, hate for Negan and murder. Rick and Aaron get back to Alexandria. Aaron is beat up after the Saviors find that little note that was left from the boat. I don't know why Aaron took that with him. Congratulations, you win, but you still lose. Then he gets beat up. Rick has to sit there and watch it the whole time. Meanwhile, Negan and Spencer are getting to know each other pretty well. Negan actually takes a liking to Spencer, up until he makes a comment, we should talk about Rick. He's got a history of not working well with others. And then Negan says, if you want to take over, why not just kill Rick and take over? This is a great comic book moment here with Spencer working his way into Negan's little friendship circle just to bring up Rick when they're in the middle of a game of pool, but in the comics they are headed on their way to play pool. Negan tells Spencer it's because you got no guts before stabbing him and slicing his belly open, pouring his guts into his hands, and then he says, oh, how embarrassing. Once again, perfect comic book moment played out on screen. Really glad that they brought this one on screen too. He says, how embarrassing. There they are. They were inside you the whole time. You did have guts. I've never been so wrong in my whole life. And then Rosita pulls the gun on him. So once again, this is from the comics. That's Spencer's death straight from the pages. Really cool there. Now Rosita pulls the gun, fires it. It actually hits Lucille. Rosita misses. She shoots and hits Lucille. Negan freaks out and attacks her. This is from the comics, although in the comics I think it was done better. It was Carl who missed the shot and shot Lucille. Negan attempted to get Carl thrown over the wall so he could get killed, but didn't get the chance to. Now Negan yells at Rosita and says, give up who made this bullet. Rosita wouldn't do it, so Arat kills Olivia. Then Rick shows up. Pay attention here to how the cut on Rosita's face mirrors the bullet hole on Olivia's face. Rick and Negan have a little exchange, Rick saying, you need to get out of here, just go. Negan saying, hey, man, I mean, you should thank me. Your kid showed up to my place, killed my people. I brought him back safe and sound, fed him spaghetti, and then he says, this other dude wanted me to put him in charge and kill you. I took him out for you, and Rick just isn't having it. Now, I think it really is interesting. Here's one of the theories I wanted to talk about. Can Negan have kids? Because if you remember, back in episode 3, Sherry's pregnancy test came out negative. Now, we know from the Here's Negan storyline of the Walking Dead comics that Negan had a wife before the apocalypse named Lucille. We don't see them with a kid. So my question is, can Negan have kids? Is the reason he took a liking to Carl and Judith, because he did bring Carl back safe and sound, didn't do a thing to him after Carl killed his people, and, threatened Negan multiple times, is the reason he's going so easy on these people because he can't have kids? I think that would be a really cool storyline for them to explain, like, this is why he likes kids so much, is because he can't have them himself. Now Eugene is pretty much cornered, so he admits, yeah, it was me. Negan says, Lucille, give me strength. He doesn't kill Eugene, he actually just takes him hostage, and then they leave Rick and the rest of the Alexandrians there to live in the aftermath of what just happened. This is actually a storyline that plays out in the Walking Dead comics with Eugene getting kidnapped. It is pretty cool. Now Spencer is left dead in the street. This shot of Rick in Alexandria pretty much mirrors that shot of Morgan in Alexandria after the wolf attack last season with the blood everywhere. Spencer gets up as a walker and Rick puts him down. Now Rick's sitting in this cell all alone at night, the cell that Morgan built, saying that next time we'll have more options. He is contemplating putting Negan there. You can tell it's set up for the end of All Out War, spoiler alert, but it is set up for the end of All Out War. He is sitting there staring at the note, congrats, you win, you still lose. Michonne comes over and gives Rick a speech from the Walking Dead comic series that Andrea gave Rick, saying, we are the ones who live, we don't die, all this stuff, we've lived through so much, we should be dead by now, but we're not. Now the episode ends by mirroring the start of the episode with Maggie sitting there staring at Glenn's grave. Our crew arrives at the hilltop, the Alexandria crew, everyone's reunited, they meet Daryl and Jesus there, so it's a happy moment for everyone, including Sasha and Rosita. Everyone is reunited this scene, including Rick and his python, which is fun, and then they go marching up to the hilltop. Yes, I think this is representative of the March to War. You see what I mean? This big group of people heading to Gregory in order to talk about the war. I really love this final shot of the episode. It is just so epic and awesome. I couldn't get enough of it, and the song that played made it even cooler, so I can't wait for next season. The episode doesn't end here, actually. We see someone staring at Gabriel through binoculars. This person has a beanie on, and then they drop down. They have those same boots from earlier. Like I said, we don't know who this is yet, and it will be revealed next season, next half season, so just stay tuned for that. Overall, I'm going to give this episode a pretty solid 9 out of 10. It was great for comic book moments. Cool to think about, can Negan have kids, all this stuff about it. So I will definitely be doing more Walking Dead videos during the break. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. D-Man out.